every now and again, I come across a candidate that has been out of the game, out of their sector, out of the type of role that they used to do for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe a bit longer. And they come to me asking, am I qualified for this role? Can I go for this role? What will the company say? And in the vast majority of their experience, and sometimes my experience, sadly, the company turns around and says no, because they don't have enough relevant recent experience. Candidates ask me, how do I do it then? How do I get myself back into the sector that I used to work in many years ago, but for some reason I've diverted off? A lot of it is because of family pressures, and I've got a story to tell you basically in a second about that. Sometimes it's sectorial changes. Sometimes it's economic and political changes within wherever they are, country or recessions or whatever it can be. So here's my story for you where it's possible, but there's a lot of ifs and buts in here and a lot of things you need to do. About 10 years ago, I got approached by a lovely lady that was in the aircraft industry. She'd been out of the industry for about 15, 16 years. She got a degree, got a job, worked in the industry for 3 or 4 years, met a dude, got married and had children. Sadly, that pulled her out of the workforce and she was bringing up her children. I think one of them had special needs as well, which sadly put pressures on the family, and she had to drop her career. The youngest, I think, went to university or I think went to college or something like that. Basically the youngest wasn't in their immediate field and had support and was able to be looked after or basically look after themselves moving into the future. This freed her up then to pursue a career again, and being 10, 15 years out of the game, it really, really did make her anxious of what was out there. She was very, very clever though. She knew that was going to be the possibility that was coming up in the next few years. So what she did was enroll in an open university degree to top herself up to a master's. And that brought her back up to speed with relevant and modern techniques and modern manufacturing and modern engineering, and kept her going. But also in the meantime as well, she reached out to various businesses that weren't quite in her sector, but as much as she could, to see if she could pick up little projects and little bits and bobs and little bits of work, or come down to the facility to have a little look around and learn about what's going on. She was being really proactive in her approach for a future job. So when she came to me, she admitted to me she hasn't been working for 15 years, but what she had been doing in the last 3 or 4 years was doing a master's degree, topping herself up, speaking to companies in the local area, trying to gain and glean what's going on in the world to hopefully move her to the next level when it comes to the fact she's got to go back to work. And she was very young as well. Still, she was only just turned, I think, in her early 40s, so she's got 25, maybe 30 years of work still ahead of her. So she wasn't hell-bent and hammered down as just a housewife. She was an engineer and she just needed to move her career forward. We took and clarified the experience on what she had done, took it together, and then I went to a few companies, but the first 2 companies that I went to actually wanted to meet her, wanted to interview her. And one of those 2 companies offered her a job. And this is what the hiring manager said to me. Not only is she relevant for the role that we have right now, she's still experienced and the experience is valid, but also she's not sat around doing nothing. And she's advanced herself at the same time. So I admire that. And this is why I want to offer her a job. Now, that was 10 years ago. I spoke to this lady just after COVID, so it's a couple of years ago for me. It's 2024 as I record this, if you're watching it in the future. And she's still there to this day. And we still have that random conversation sometimes on LinkedIn as well, in the messages. That, she was once a housewife watching Teletubbies with her little kids, and now she's in the thick of it in the aerospace industry, designing bits and bobs for cars, and bits and bobs for cars, bits and bobs for aircraft and stuff like that. And she sometimes pinches herself that she's back in it, and she can't believe her luck. But I keep saying this to her: you worked hard to get yourself back in there and to get yourself back relevant. So the lesson for anyone at the moment that's left an industry and wants to come back into an industry, and you really want to do it, you can't just bang a CV over to a recruiter, to a hiring manager, in the hope that they're going to see this experience 20, 30 years ago, maybe even sooner, 5, 10 years ago even. They want to see something that helps bridge the gap between that experience, whether it's a course of relevance, you've gone off and did some work experience, something that helps you or helps them bridge the gap of relevance to that role. Not every company will look at it like that, and there are some nuances in various businesses and various sectors where you need to have a license or you need to have certain experience, but even then you can still pursue that at your own expense and in your own time. It's really down to how much you really, really want it. So is it possible? 100% it's possible, but you've got to really work for it. And that is probably the biggest message that I can give you in this video. Good luck with it.